I'm Tamara. I'm the author of Wildpreneurs. And as we share our inspiration with you today, the goal is actually for you to think about your life and your inspiration. So my friends call me the Jungle Girl because I created the Tail and Jungle Lodge, which is down the hill below us here on the Mexican Pacific. But now I think I'm more Jungle Mom. And this is baby Zephyr. He's 5 months, and we were very excited to head to South by Southwest. And clearly that didn't happen. So we're home in the jungle, grateful for family time, and we're also excited to share some jungle inspiration with you today. And Zephyr got dressed up for the occasion too. He says, check out my new outfit. So as many of you know, this is a challenging time, and our hearts are with those that are struggling and in need. And it's also an interesting time for wildpreneurs, because wildpreneurs use this kind of inner compass to guide us in the direction of our growth and to guide us in life. And this is a time, smiley guy, of recalibration. It's a time where many of us are home, and a time to pause and get slow and think about, am I living my life fully? Am I coming alive? And so that's kind of interesting. And many of us might also be brainstorming some creative ways to generate some additional income, some additional revenue. And so maybe you're thinking of a little bit of a different entrepreneurial pursuit, an unconventional entrepreneurial pursuit. So today we thought we would share a couple of things. First, we were going to explore what it means to be a wildpreneur, and we're going to have a little adventure, and then we're going to do a crash course in wildpreneurship, so the 3 W's. Because I wrote my book, which it's a combination, it's a fusion of fun, adventure, and practical tools. And so that's how we've designed our time with you today. Does that sound good, Zeffy? All right. So to get started, what we're going to do is I want you to, wherever you are, close your eyes. I'm not sure Zephyr will do that, but I will close my eyes. And I want you to take a big breath. And I want you to think about what makes you come alive. That might be inspiration, it might be passion, it might be excitement. Whatever it is, I want you to think about that. And now, open your eyes. And if you've got that thought, Zephyr, you want to stand up for a sec? We're gonna do a little power pose. So Zephyr's really good at this. He has a lesson in what makes you come alive. And so what I'm gonna have you do is, if you're at home, you can stand up if that feels good. And we're gonna do a power pose. So you're gonna lift one hand, and you're gonna lift the other hand. Whoa, we're still practicing. And you're gonna reach for the sky. Reach, reach, reach with both hands. Reach for the highest version of yourself. Imagine yourself reaching your full potential and feel alive. And so now you can bring your arms down. You can relax, rest. And I want you to hold on to that feeling of coming alive, because that is the essence of what wildpreneurship is all about.
What does it mean to be a wildpreneur? There's not really one demographic. It could be a wellness and yoga instructor, a creative who makes love calendars, a podcaster, a digital nomad who lives in their van, a ski builder, graphic designers, surf and sup instructors, microbrewers. Wildpreneurs take all shapes and sizes, and it really starts with a dream. How can we turn your wild idea into a reality? So by my definition, a wildpreneur is a free spirit who is turning passion into business. So what exactly does that mean? Well, common threads would be that we are designing our lives personally and professionally, and every wildpreneur is unique. But for the most part, we are seeking lifestyle and quality of life. We're trailblazers with wild ideas. And we're seeking richness beyond dollars and cents.
Of course, money is also an important part of the equation, and wildpreneurs use creative approaches to make their dreams financially viable.
You're probably starting to get an idea of the wildpreneur concept now. So, are you ready for an adventure? Let's go to the jungle.
My book is essentially a blueprint for turning your passion into a business. And it guides you through the stages, from the daydreaming stage, which I spent plenty of time doing that, and then action and creation. What's your dream? And then how do we turn it into a reality? And there are stepping stones. It is a process to get there. You don't just begin and have everything you need. You're not going to know it all until you get started on the journey. And so Wildpreneurs and my experience is here to support you with that journey.
At 21 years old, I came to a fork in the road. I had a plan for my dream business in one hand and a Wall Street job opportunity in the other. I listened to my heart and headed to the jungle. We've been called the Swiss Family Robinson of the Mexican Pacific.
To have a plan and a vision for how things are going to go, but to ultimately be open-hearted and open-minded to whatever comes, and just to learn as you go along. Because expect the unexpected, I think, is the Wildpreneur approach in general. And to appreciate that, to have a vision for your destination too, but to enjoy the journey. And every day is this beautiful adventure. Some days are, brutal. Some days are blissful. And that's the beauty of it. There will be twists and turns and challenges around every corner. And I'm here, and my book is here to support you with working through those. And if you do, you will find your treasure. What's your wild idea?
Big thanks to the HarperCollins leadership team for empowering free spirits globally.
So that gives you a little glimpse into my jungle life, and to fill in some of the gaps of my story, I created the Tailwind Jungle Lodge with my family in 2007, so we've been open for business almost 15 years now, and for a family from the border of Vermont and Quebec, we sure have learned a few things about tropical living and wild business. And as I reflect on my journey, I realize that it's been a journey of blood, sweat, and tears, and butterflies and rainbows too. So it's been blissful and brutal, and it's just been an incredibly rewarding experience. And around 10 years in, I was noticing a trend of adventurers and guests staying at the lodge who were approaching me and asking what I wish I had known when I was creating my wild business. And I realized that I couldn't sum it up in a sentence or two, that it was time to write a book. So my book began as a reflection on my journey and then turned into a how-to guide because I wanted to give people a practical tool. And then I started to realize that I wasn't the only free spirit and the only wildpreneur who was blazing my own trail through business. There were many others who are doing some really cool things on their own terms, designing their lives personally and professionally. And so I began interviewing these free spirits, and there are about 50 interviews in the book that I think you'll find extremely inspiring, and there's a lot of wildpreneur wisdom in there. Now that you've had an adventure and you're understanding the wildpreneur concept, it's time for a crash course. So here are the 3 W's for life as a wildpreneur.
So the first W is wish. And what do you do when you make a wish? I know when I wish on a penny or I wish on a star, I close my eyes and I imagine, I visualize, and I set my intention for how I want that dream, that wish to come true. And the wildpreneur that I like to feature here for our wish element is Shanti Tilling, who is now a personal trainer who works alongside big wave surfer Laird Hamilton. You can see a picture of Shanti in the waves here. And many years ago, Shanti was a fitness model with a super high-stress job, and her fork in the road came when she was diagnosed with a pancreatic tumor. This was at age 30. And she basically had a 1% chance to live, and she not only decided to live, she decided to redesign her life. And she set her intention, she made a wish, and she decided not just to live, but to thrive and really become alive. And she is one of those super inspiring wildpreneurs that is featured in my book. And this idea of making a wish and setting your intention is actually the inspiration behind chapter 1 of my book, which is called Baja Daydreamer. So especially now when you have some time on your hands at home, go ahead, get your head in the clouds and see where those daydreams take you. So the second W is the wildpreneur approach. And I wrote a whole book about the wildpreneur approach, clearly. But what I want to zoom in on here specifically is the mantra of no mud, no lotus. And thank you so much to philosopher Thich Nhat Hanh for coining this phrase. And the idea here is to prepare yourself for the inevitable challenges that are going to come. So to get gritty and persevere through those topes, we call them in Mexico, the speed bumps. And so instead of thinking of these little things, these little setbacks as failures, think of it as instead as you're practicing the art of artful mistake making. So you're becoming a master of artful mistake making. And the wildpreneur that I'd like to highlight here is a dear friend of mine, Brita Jankai, and she has created a really magical organic garden right near my jungle lodge. And she is an amazing example of continual adaptation. And she gets muddy literally. She has her hands in the garden every day. And she's constantly adapting to a variety of invaders. So from the little guys, the little caterpillars that eat all of her kale, to the big dudes, the cows that trample her squash. They break through the fence and they trample her squash. So she's always sharing with me these little frustrations, but she's also learning and growing and getting stronger as she rises to these challenges that are continually coming. So wildpreneurs are always faced with these challenges, and the idea here is to stick with it, stick through the challenge. We're all going through some mud right now, so I'm sure you can all relate to this feeling. So the idea is to stick with it. The third W is wisdom. And as I interviewed wildpreneurs across North America and globally, I found that a consistent theme was that these free spirits were doing what they love with love. And the wildpreneur that I'd like to feature here is Toto Flores, who is the founder of Mexico Latte, one of my favorite little chocolate shops. And Toto is the richest person I know just because he has this incredible smile and it just radiates this joy and this love. And he really infuses love into every aspect of his business, from where the cacao comes from to how they offer it to their clients in the little chocolate shop, to his relationships with the community. And he does things with love and it shows. And so this is about a holistic approach to business, which I think is needed now more than ever. It's this triple bottom line philosophy of people, planet, and profit. And I'm sure as you're all brainstorming your wild ideas, you can think of some ways to have a holistic perspective, a holistic approach. Now especially is a time for community and support and synergies, so definitely reach out to other wildpreneurs that might be in the same boat, and let's work together on turning these dreams into realities. So there you have it. Those are the 3 W's. Do you remember what they are? So the first one is wish, then we had wildpreneur approach, and then wisdom. And so my hope is that with this simple equation, you now have some tools that you can use to get started on your wildpreneur journey. Or perhaps if you're already underway on your journey, then you have some fresh inspiration to keep you going. And for all of you listening, whether you're a wildpreneur or not, my wish is that you will tune into what makes you come alive. One of my favorite quotes is by Howard Thurman, and he says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive." So thank you so much for listening, and a few things to remember, particularly now, is that you may have to get a little bit muddy, but if you stick with it, you will find your lotus. And Baby Sefer says, don't forget to do lots of power poses along the way. So muchas gracias, we're sending healthy jungle energy your way. May the wild inspiration flow.